What if the next world-changing invention isn't in a laboratory, but in your next dream? It's not just speculation. Some of history's greatest breakthroughs literally came in sleep. Paul McCartney dreamed the melody of Yesterday, one of the most recorded songs ever. Chemist Dmitri Mendeleev envisioned the periodic table in a dream that solved what no hours of waking study could. Think about that, the subconscious, while you lie unconscious, can produce art, solve equations, even alter the fate of nations. And tonight, while you sleep, the same hidden machinery will be at work in your own brain. But here's the real twist. Only a handful of people in history woke up and wrote down what they saw. And those few? They carried fragments of dreams that would reshape the waking world. So, what separates those forgotten fragments from the visions that redirect history itself? And what if one of your dreams already contained the seed of something revolutionary, and you just let it slip away? Stay with us. Because by the end of this video, you'll see dreams not as nonsense, but as secret architects of reality. On April 14, 1865, President Abraham Lincoln attended Ford's Theater, and never walked out alive. But here's what history books rarely emphasize: Lincoln had already seen his death, days before it happened, in a dream so vivid it shook him to his core. Let's start with the ending, not the beginning. Imagine standing over a coffin in the White House. Guards line the walls. Mourners weep. When Lincoln asked a soldier in his dream, "Who is dead in the White House?" the answer came back, "The President." Lincoln woke rattled. He told his wife. He told his closest friends. He even confided in his bodyguard, saying he felt as though a bad omen hung over him. This wasn't superstition, this was a leader interpreting his subconscious warning while heading into one of the most dangerous moments of his presidency. But here's the puzzle: was this a prophecy, or was it his mind connecting dots his waking thoughts ignored? The nation was divided, threats against him constant. Could his dream have been the brain's final attempt to save him? The question isn't whether Lincoln could see the future, it's whether his subconscious was trying to protect him. Because what happened next shows that sometimes, dreams don't just predict, they prepare us for the inevitable. In 1869, a Russian chemist named Dmitri Mendeleev faced a puzzle that seemed unsolvable: how to organize the known elements into a logical system. For weeks he struggled, shuffling cards with chemical properties, searching for a pattern that refused to appear. And then, exhausted, he fell asleep at his desk. What his waking brain could not solve, his dreaming mind presented in an instant. In his dream, the elements lined up like soldiers, each falling naturally into place. When he woke, he sketched the periodic table in minutes. This wasn't random luck. Mendeleev had already internalized vast amounts of data. His subconscious wasn't inventing, it was processing. Neurologists today call this incubation, when the brain continues problem-solving beneath awareness. His dream was the flashpoint where scattered knowledge fused into order. But here's where it gets fascinating: Mendeleev's dream didn't just reveal order, it predicted the future. His table included gaps for elements not yet discovered, with properties he described decades before scientists confirmed them. Dreams aren't supposed to do that. And yet, his did. So was this pure science, or something that suggests dreams can leap ahead of reality itself? London, 1940. The Blitz is raining fire. Night after night, Winston Churchill bears the weight of survival on his shoulders. Then, one night, a dream jolts him awake. In the dream, he saw German bombers not over London, but flying toward Coventry, a city of factories vital to the war effort. Convinced it was more than a nightmare, Churchill quietly redirected anti-air defenses and civil precautions. When the Luftwaffe struck Coventry days later, the losses were devastating, but far less than they might have been. Nearly 600 civilians died, yet without those preparations, historians estimate casualties could have doubled. Here's the twist: we only know of this dream because Churchill confided it to his inner circle. He never called it prophecy. He described it as intuition taking shape in symbolic form. But why would his subconscious choose a dream as the delivery system? Modern neuroscience offers a clue. Leaders like Churchill absorbed torrents of fragmented intelligence, rumors, coded messages, stray observations. At night, the brain forges connections, transforming noise into clarity. The dream wasn't magic, it was pattern recognition wrapped in imagery that could not be ignored. Still, the fact remains: a dream altered Churchill's decision-making at a critical moment. Without it, Coventry's losses could have been catastrophic. But what happens when dreams don't just save lives, but create entirely new worlds? Not all dreams warn of death. Some give birth to entire worlds. Take Mary Shelley, for example. In 1816, during a stormy summer in Switzerland, she dreamt of a pale scientist kneeling beside the creature he had assembled from corpses. That vision became the seed of Frankenstein, a story that shaped science fiction itself. Shelley wasn't alone. Paul McCartney once claimed that the melody for Yesterday, one of the most recorded songs in history, came to him in a dream. He woke convinced he had stolen it, so familiar did it sound. But when no one recognized the tune, he realized it had been his all along. And here's the strange part: scientists studying creativity find that REM sleep floods the brain with unusual neural connections. It silences the rigid rules of logic, letting distant ideas collide. In other words, dreaming is the ultimate innovation lab. Which means the world's most haunting monster, and one of the greatest love songs ever written, share the same origin: the sleeping brain's chaotic theater. These aren't accidents. They're the subconscious reorganizing information in ways the conscious mind could never manage while awake. So if dreams can invent monsters and melodies, what else might they be capable of? Maybe even reshaping the course of science itself? For centuries, people treated dreams as omens or divine messages. Today, science has peeled back the mystery, showing us the brain at work during sleep. REM stages light up the visual cortex and limbic system, the same regions tied to creativity and emotion. Dreams aren't random, they're neurological rehearsals. And those rehearsals can change everything. Researchers at Harvard found that people trained on puzzles improved dramatically after sleeping, as if the brain kept practicing offline. Others have shown that dreams can spark emotional healing, helping people process trauma by replaying it in symbolic form. In other words, the same engine that gave us Frankenstein or the periodic table may be shaping your everyday life, right now, while you sleep. The most startling part? Some of history's greatest breakthroughs, like the discovery of the benzene ring or even advancements in computer algorithms, trace back to dream imagery. What feels like chaos at night may be the brain's most sophisticated problem-solving system. So maybe dreams aren't just random fireworks. Maybe they're messages from ourselves, delivered in code. The question is, will you listen to them, or dismiss them as nonsense? Because the next dream you forget upon waking, could be the one that changes everything. Mary Shelley dreamt of a monster and birthed modern science fiction. Mendeleev dreamt of order and gave us the periodic table. Churchill dreamt of destruction and saved a city. History remembers them because they listened. Modern science tells us dreams are where the brain experiments. It tests fears, rehearses problems, and assembles fragments into patterns. Sometimes those patterns are nonsense. But sometimes, they're revolutionary. So here's my challenge. Tonight, when you wake from a dream, don't dismiss it. Write it down. Even if it makes no sense. Especially if it makes no sense. Because hidden in that chaos may be the melody, the invention, or the decision that shifts your world. Only a handful of people in history woke up and wrote down what they saw. And the world is still living with the consequences. The question is, will you be one of them? And speaking of minds bending reality, what if there's a place on Earth where consciousness itself twists against you?